Fish Stripes Unfiltered, episode 28. It is just Isaac and I today. Isaac, how are you? We have a lot to talk about today. We have top 30 prospects talk. We both made our list, and they're both out. And then we're going to talk about Don Mattingly a little bit, his firing, what we think about it, and maybe throw out a candidate out there or two. Isaac, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. As you mentioned, it was a mutual parting of ways between Donnie and the Marlins announced on Sunday. We're recording this on Thursday, September 29th. And yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more depth later on in this episode. But yeah, a lot to cover today.
Yeah, so as always, just subscribe on YouTube and everywhere where you listen to the pod. And let's just get right into it. Don Mattingly. This was definitely expected, I would say, at some point during the season. Maybe not this. I guess we maybe expected it towards the end of the year in case after the season. But, both Bruce Sherman and Don Mattingly came out with a statement of their own. You could see those on Twitter. I'm not going to read those out right now because they're pretty long. But, yeah, at the end of the day, the quote I guess we could get from this is a new voice. And that's, I guess, what Don Mattingly wanted. And both sides mutually agreed that a new voice was needed. And you kind of saw things going down after that team meeting, Isaac. So I just want to get your thoughts on Don Mattingly's tenure overall as the manager, and your thoughts on his firing or not firing, parting of ways.
Yeah, we're looking at this photo. It's ironic that it's, a couple days after this was announced. It's when we have seen Donnie as livid as I've seen him in his entire Marlins tenure.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been here since 2016. He's had to navigate. He went in with a team that was ready to win in 16 and 17. Wasn't able to get the best out of him. He had to, really manage this team through one of the biggest tragedies in South Florida sports history. He did a great job with that.
Yep.
He led a team that had Giancarlo Stanton winning the National League Most Valuable Player Award, and then he really embraced the build that Derek Jeter and Bruce Sherman came in to do. And he has been nothing but pure class since he's been here. I've gotten to know him the past couple of years, and like I said, he's been nothing but a fantastic guy to deal with. After a loss, after a win, he's the same guy who will never throw a player under the bus. And I unfortunately, I did think the time was right for there to be a new voice. And I would not want to be in Kim Ng's shoes because she has a really big hole to fill. And it's going to be tough to replace Don Mattingly for sure. And there you go with the statements. I'll read the statement from principal owner Bruce Sherman. We are fortunate to have had Don Mattingly leading our team on the field over the last 7 years. He has represented the Marlins, our players, our fans, and the South Florida community with unmatched dignity and pride. Over the course of our recent conversations with Don, we both agreed not to pursue a new contract for the 2023 season and that the time is right for a new voice to lead our clubhouse. He will depart with the most wins and most games managed in franchise history, and we are proud of Don's many accomplishments, including winning the National League Manager of the Year in 2020 when he guided the Marlins to the postseason after a 16-year absence. So, nothing but great words for the great Don Mattingly.
Yeah, and this wasn't a parting of an issue on one side and the other. This was a mutual parting. There was never an issue with Donnie. Isaac and I pretty much talked to this guy at least maybe 2-3 times a week when we go cover class act on the field, and has been a class act with the media. He's a player's guy, and it's unfortunate that it had to come to end like this. But yes, as Isaac mentioned, a new voice is needed. And I guess we could talk about who this new voice could be. Do you have anyone in your mind? I mean, we were going to come out with an article on this at some point after the season because we all answered that. But just anyone you're thinking of. I know Joe Espada is a name that will come up. James Rowson is expected to get an interview, at least us assuming that it's more of a due diligence type thing. So any other names that come up to your mind?
Yeah, I know James Rowson was a popular name, at least going to last year and into this year as well, that, when Donnie's contract does expire, it could be him. I don't see it going to James Rowson. I think Kim is going to choose someone else.
Mm-hmm.
A name that, our great Ely Sussman mentioned was Francisco Cervelli. He could be a favorite, although I sort of see him liking where he's at right now in San Diego. And then there's just a whole bunch of coaches all over, Major League Baseball that could be perfect for the job. I just have no idea which direction Kim is going to go. And I think we just do have to wait till at least the end of the regular season to just see who would be available and whose contract won't be renewed before we can even start to speculate on who it might be. But I guess to maybe go in one direction, you'd think maybe someone with Yankee ties, so an organization that Kim has worked with, it would fit the pattern for sure.
Yeah, and if you're thinking Yankees, maybe Dodgers as well. She's also part of the Dodgers organization, so that's definitely one there too. But I think a young manager is definitely something you want, but someone with experience. I know you also mentioned we have to wait until the end of the season because we don't know what managers get fired from their current jobs. If Milwaukee somehow maybe doesn't make the playoffs and then they see that there's a different way to go, Craig Counsell may get fired, just as one dimension there. But yeah, I think we just have to see. We can only speculate now in terms of non-managerial role guys. So let's move on to what we're here for. We're here to talk about top 30 prospects. Isaac recently made his list. Mine has been out for a little bit now. I made one update to it after JJ Bleday graduated from his prospect ranking. So I think we'll start with the top 10, and let's let Eli share that. And there you have it. Isaac and I's top 4 is exactly the same. So we're just going to go right into number 5. And I want to talk about Jacob Berry because you have him rated at 5. I have him at 9. Why is Jacob Berry so high for you in your list?
Well, that's a tough one. You got to think that he's a little bit polished as a hitter. He was probably the best college bat coming out of the 2022 draft class. And, compared to the other high-risk high school kids that are right beneath Barry in my ranking, you got to think he's closest to the big leagues. You got to think he's got probably the higher of floors compared to the other guys. Switch hitter, unfortunately, the ceiling is kind of limited based on where he's going to play defensively. I don't see him as anything other than a first baseman DH. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll make it work out at 30. The famous bad throwing motion of Ryan Zimmerman ended up working out. Jacob Berry seems to have something similar. But yeah, Jacob Berry, I think, like I said, I was not a huge fan of the draft pick, but I think he's still the 5th best prospect in the Marlins system.
And the only other name I guess we could touch up on here in the top 10 is Dax Fulton. You have him. You have Jacob Berry over Fulton. I have Fulton right over Berry. So if there's anything you could do this top 10, and I know it may be the moving of Fulton a little bit higher, and I think I'll do the same as well after what he's shown not only towards the end of the season Beloit, but coming up to Pensacola and just dominating. And we all know the ERA was, I guess, an issue, but the FIP showed differently. The ERA is no longer an issue in Pensacola. And shout out to the Wahoos, they're Southern League champions. So just what would you change to your top 10 right now?
Yeah, not to spoil anything, but when this list comes out with all the analysis under each player at the end of the Major League regular season, I think Fulton will have a significant bump up in the rankings. What he did in the postseason for Pensacola, what he's doing at his age at such a tough level in AA. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Barry maybe flip-flopped, or maybe him and Eater flip-flopped, as I have Eater at 4. The Marlins have some great left-handed pitching prospects. So I think Dax Fulton is the one you got to look at.
And then I want to look at number 10, the 10th spot for both of us. I have Watson. You have Nunez. Watson, he's been a little bit up and down this year mentally and playing on the field, but he got off to a great end of the season, our last good month. Nasim Nunez, to many, should have been the minor league player of the year after what he did. Started in high A, played extremely well, and went up all the way to Pensacola, played extremely well there. Your reasoning for having a guy like Nasim over? Oh, you have Khalil Watson.
Yeah. So I'm a little higher on Khalil than I suppose you are. Yeah. Obviously, the off the field stuff was an issue, but you know what? He's an 18-year-old kid that has never struggled his entire adolescent life. So I just think it'll come with maturity. And everyone that I've talked to about him, like, oh man, this guy really, it looks like another bust. But no, everyone that I've talked to has said, hey, don't give up on him yet. Don't give up on him yet. So I still think the tools are there. The raw talent is there. The speed, the power, the bat speed. I think it's all there. So I think, he plays a premium position. Whether he sticks at short is to be determined. But I think he's still got a pretty hefty ceiling. Being how young he is, he'll probably start off at low A next season. So yeah, I have him at number 6 in the organization.
Yeah, I have him at 10 just simply because of the off the field issues. But everything Isaac said, I do agree with this guy. I think out of the last draft picks they've made, this is the one I'm still holding a lot of hope on because of how much he fell and where he was projected to go. He was expected to be a top 3, top 5 pick. So I guess the last thing I want to mention with Fulton and Yuri Perez here is, do you see maybe do you see both of these guys in the top 3 next year for us in their prospect rankings?
I'll keep it short. Yes.
Yes. All right, there we go. So let's move on to the next 10. So this would be, I believe, 11 through 20, if I'm correct. There we go. All right. Let's look at this right here. Isaac has Jacob Miller at 13. That's the biggest name there. I have him at 17. I have Nasim at 16. 6 still we're not going to talk about because we have not heard about anything lately there, but I had him at 13 at the time making this list. Isaac's a little bit fresher than mine, just to keep in mind. My list came out a couple weeks ago. His is the first time anyone's seeing it. So anything that stands out to you between our 11 through 19, Isaac?
I think you got to start with Jacob Miller. I know you love Joe Mack, but ironically, we have him ranked pretty similarly. You at
Yeah.
12, me at 14.
Yeah.
I didn't remember where you had Ian Lewis, but I think the name that I'm going to go back to is Jacob Miller, drafted, what was he? Technically second round of the 2022 draft. And it was weird with him. He had one good start, one bad start, and he just continued with that pattern in the minor leagues. But I think the curveball is plus, and I think the velocity, while it won't be elite, I think it'll be okay, 94, 95. And I think he has really high reliever ceiling. I just think if everything works out, he could be a back end starter in the big leagues. But he's someone that I liked. I liked the video on him. His high school stats were insane. He struck out 2 batters per inning in like 70 innings pitched. It was pretty remarkable what he was able to do at high school.
Yeah, and then just looking at the list once again, I think we show some DSL love here. We have Jose Gerardo entering our top 20. So you have him at 18, I have him at 19. Very similar there. Once again, your thoughts on Gerardo and the DSL, which he's been really, really good. So I think he hit almost 20 bombs, I believe, or somewhere around there. So just your thoughts on Gerardo's season with DSL, and do you think how much of a jump can he make next time around when we redo these lists, maybe at the start of spring training or at the start of the season?
Yeah, the DSL isn't exactly my area of expertise. I don't know how quick these guys jump from level to level, I'll be honest, but all I know is that he had one heck of a pro debut this year in the DSL where his OPS was mid 900s. He was hitting for power. He was getting on base at an insane clip. He's an outfielder. When I spoke with Adrian Lorenzo on the field along with Christina and Jordan, he's the first name that he threw out there. I was like, how's it going? Having a couple teams. So, oh, it's great. There's guys like these, Jose Gerardo. You named a couple other ones that we'll get into later. But he is someone that really it's pure performance. It would put him on my list so high for me. He really performed outstanding as a 17-year-old in DSL.
So the only other name I think I want to mention 2 more names here. You have Gerard at 11. I have him at 15. He made his major league debut. He's been playing here and there. So why still so high on him?
Yeah, he's someone that might fall to 12, 13 by the end of the season. I liked what I saw from him in his first taste, when he came up and hit that grand slam. And he still looked good when he got called up again. But since then, he's just had a really tough time resembling any sort of approach or, just being able to put the ball in play any sort of consistent rate. So it's been tough. Maybe guys like Ian Lewis deserve to be a little higher than Gerard, but still I believe in the raw power. He's got as much raw power as anybody in the entire system, including the big leagues. And I like his swing. I like his stance. He's got a heck of an arm, but I think it'd be better served at first base where, his routes aren't the best in the outfield. So I think just that combination of tools is what puts him pretty high for me.
And a name that I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you had him in your top 10, but you don't have him in your top 20, is Zach Mccambly. I have him at 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mccambly, I know he's had probably one of the bigger up and down seasons. He starts off pretty, during spring training, you look at it, and we were getting reports saying this guy's really freaking good. He's a bullpen. He's going to be a really good bullpen piece. And then he goes into, at the start of the season with Pensacola, it's a little bit rough. And then you go back mid-season, he looks good. And then at the end of the season, he looks rough again. And then he's out for the year with, I believe it was arm fatigue. So do you have any hope for a guy like Mccambly? Because now he's played a full season in Pensacola. Do you think they'll put him again in Pensacola? Because he did struggle most of the time, but he showed flashes of being a really good pitcher. So do you see him in AAA or in AA again going into next year? Because it's a weird case with a guy repeating the level twice.
Yeah, he struggled. Last year, he was pitching well in Beloit, and when he got called up to Pensacola, he really struggled. Yeah. He started this year in AA Pensacola again, and the home runs have been an issue. The ERA, as you can see, it's at 5.65 for the year. He really fell off. He's in my 20 to 30 range in the rankings. So, I still think of him as a top 30 prospect with a plus curveball. Very nice kid. I spoke to him in spring training. But, yeah, he's got some making up to do. He really had a tough year. He had some stretches where he would just look outstanding. He looked how he looked in Beloit. He had some starts where he struck out 12 and just pitched really well. But most of it was more bad than good, unfortunately, in his sophomore season as a professional. So we'll see. It's going to be a big year for him as to where he starts at AA or AAA. I think it's hard to justify him going up a level when he really has not pitched well at AA at all. So we'll see. They might throw him to AAA just because the competition might be a little easier there than at AA, but we'll see. We'll see where they put him.
I know it's a different player, but when JJ Bleday was in Double A, he was it was pretty bad most of the time, and he still got the bump up, right?
Yeah, they call up everyone. I don't know. They
Yeah,
Blade is
that's
perfect examples.
yeah, that's why I'm thinking he may get that call up there. But the last name I want to mention that's on your on your part of this top 10 is Ronald Hernandez, switch hitting catcher out of the DSL. This guy is one that was, I think, first ever mentioned by, I want to say Daniel DeVivo on Twitter, and then everyone's been getting steam on this guy. Switch hitter, he had a pretty rough season. I think it was okay what he did in the DSL, but I think this guy's gonna be real good as well. So I think I have him at 21. So we'll see him right in the next slide. But your thoughts on Ronald Hernandez?
Yeah, like you said, switch hitter. He's got a cannon of an arm. If everything goes right with the hit tool, he could be a switch hitting Wilson Contreras. Obviously, he's such a raw player, but he's someone that I liked. I saw him in during the lockout, during the minor league spring training games. I saw him and he was pretty good. He had some nice swings, but obviously the bat is the glove is much further along than the bat. At least the arm is anyway. So it's tough to see, but I just like the tools, and that's why he's number 20.
Yeah, and the last player I want to mention is Anthony Peguero, who I don't know if you have him on the list, but he's definitely been one of the star-studded guys here, outfielder for the DSL as well. So you're just seeing how much DSL guys we're getting into the list. I have 3. You may have 3 as well. I don't know if you have Peguero on your list at all, but I think it is time to move on to the next set of. I think the next 10 on our list, and this is the last 10 here. And
Oh, I didn't have
you do have
Peguero?
Peguero. Yeah, you do. 25.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
And you do have Andrew Nardi on there as well.
Yeah.
It's been a rough stretch for him, but I want to talk about. Do you have Griffin Conan on here?
Griffin Conan was an honorable mention for me.
He was? Okay, so how come Griffin Conan didn't crack your top 30?
I think you know the answer to that. The home runs were there. He just has shown no improvement when it comes to the strikeouts. So unfortunately, he's right there. I still consider him a prospect, but to think of him as anything more, I don't think he's ever going to have a full season as a starter in the major leagues. I just don't think it's possible, and it's unfortunate. He's a really good kid as well. Son of Mr. Marlin. But yeah, again, he's getting up there. No, I forget how old he is exactly.
26, I want to say.
There he is. Sorry about that. He's 25. He'll turn 26 in July of next year. So yeah, he's getting older and he's still at Double A. So we'll see. But yeah, he is an honorable mention for me. Not much there other than the prolific power that he has.
And you have Charles LeBlanc on your list. So I get them. Yeah, I get having him on there. He's been great at the big leagues. He was great in AAA, good enough to get AAA Player of the Year. So shout out to him, I guess, on your end. You have Jose Devers.
Yes.
So you still consider him a top 30 guy?
I do. He was called up for no good reason.
Yeah.
It was really horrible the fact that they called him up when he just wasn't ready. He's been hurt so many times. I still believe in the bat to ball skills. I still believe in the speed. I still believe in the glove. He's going to have to fill out a little bit. I haven't been able to put my eyes on him for a while, because he's just been, nowhere to be seen. He's been MIA. But I still believe in him. I think he'll be in spring training, fully ready to go. And yeah, I like Jose Devers. And he's the last remaining piece from the Giancarlo Stanton trade. So the Marlins better hope they get something out of him. But I still see him as a utility infielder guy. Maybe can get a lot of starts. Maybe a left-hand hitting John Birdie, who just hopefully puts the ball in play as much as Birdie does. But yeah, I think he's a good-looking ball player.
Paul McIntosh did not make your list. Many assume that he's definitely a top 30 guy. He is in my eyes, as you could see. I have him at 24. Just what went into not putting a guy like McIntosh in there after what he's done this season for the Wahoos. I mean, he's been pretty damn good, and I know his defense isn't the greatest out there, and not many see him translating as a catcher to the big leagues, maybe as a first baseman or a corner outfielder. So just your thoughts on the McIntosh, because the bat is there. It's just the defense, I think.
Yeah. He's about to turn 25. He's a bad catcher.
Yeah.
The bat will have to carry him all the way there, and he's a good ball player. He's a good, depth piece for the organization. If they need, if Stallings gets hurt or Fortes gets hurt, I think he could be someone that's knocking on the door. But to rank him above guys, like Soriano and Simpson and McCants, who are just young and really talented, it'd be tough. He will be in my honorable mentions, though. It's been a hell of a season from Paul McIntosh.
So we both have this guy on the list, Andy Johnson, playing his second full season with Beloit.
He barely made it for me. He barely made it for me.
He had a good season for Beloit. The issue has been that he's in Beloit. He should be in Pensacola in many of our eyes. He played a full season twice, so 2 seasons in Beloit. Your thoughts on MD and why did he just crack your list? Because he was pretty good. I mean, in my eyes, he was good enough to make the list. And you see, I put him pretty comfortably there at number 27. And I want to talk about one other guy after.
Yeah, he's another 25-year-old guy that you said it. He should be in Beloit. I'm sorry. He should be in Pensacola. I didn't see the reason to not at least give him a few starts the way they did to Fulton. Fulton is 19, and they're not going to give MB Johnson a few starts out there, but he performed really well. He had the strikeouts. He didn't allow a ton of hits, didn't allow a ton of home runs, but he did give up a few. So he's someone that he's going to be 26 at the end of next season, and hopefully he'll still be in the system, but he's going to be at AA, AAA, and maybe he's someone that gets a call-up next year. I don't know how they didn't call him up to the higher levels this season, like you said, but yeah, he's someone that has looked good towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and then one guy who we expected to get the call-up did not get it. He is on the very bottom portion of our list, 29 for me, 28 for you, Josh Simpson. Very weird he didn't get the call-up because this bullpen has not been performing. We see what Andrew Nardi has done. It's just not been good. Struggled a lot. Obviously, it's his first season. Just got the call-up. But your thoughts on Josh Simpson and why he may have not gotten the call-up there?
I think you fell victim to Alex Carver's propaganda. He was good. He's a good player.
He was really good, yeah.
I think he should have gotten a call-up, but I don't think it's the end of the world that he didn't. It's a shame that they gave, Huáscar Brazoban and the other one, I forget his name, so many opportunities.
Zavala?
Probably him. Yes, Anir Zavala. They could have given Simpson the opportunity, but he had his struggles. So did Nardi. But, Jeffrey Yan and Josh Simpson had their struggles out of the bullpen, at times, and they were really bad. And I think the last thing that this team wants is for these young guys to come up and pitch the way Andrew Nardi is pitching, and so I think maybe that scared him a little bit. Who knows? Maybe not. But, yeah, we were on the assumption that Josh Simpson would get the call, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's the end of the world that he didn't.
Yeah, and then what else can we look at here?
David, what about you? Give me your thoughts on George Soriano, your favorite guy.
He's good. He's really good. I don't know why I didn't put him in my top 30. I think he's definitely going to make it in there next time. Just dominant. Everything is good for him. I saw him more in a reliever role, and he showed that in Jacksonville, and he's been really freaking good as a reliever. So he's definitely someone who they have to try to protect because I believe he could go into minor league free agency. He could elect that. So we'll see what happens there with George Soriano. But you did Carson Milbrand is the next name I think we could get into because you had him ranked a lot higher than myself. The reasoning for Milbrand so low for me is because I really haven't seen much of him and really don't know much, but I know he's really good and they overpaid for this guy a lot. And I'm pretty sure slot value was a normal slot value and they got him for way, way over that value. So Isaac, why is Milbrand rated so high for you?
Yeah, I like to give the fresh draft picks an opportunity to debut on the list, just in case they don't perform well. They fall off. But no, I like the fastball coming out of the draft. He didn't really perform that. He only threw 2 innings, I think, in professional baseball this year, and I think he gave up 2 earned runs. So he wasn't off to the best of starts. But I liked the tools, like I said. The curveball, the fastball, it all looked good for me. So I had him pretty high up. I think I had him at 17. So I think that's a fair. Maybe you could give or take a couple spots, but I think that was a fair assessment for Carson.
Now that we've pretty much looked at the whole list, is there anything that you can see on my list that needs a change? And then I'll say the same thing for you.
I think you have Griffin pretty high at 25th.
Nah.
I like that we both believe in Jordan McCants. I think the glove is spectacular. I think the personality is A1. Hopefully he hits a little bit, but since his brother is hitting, I think that means he's going to be a star. Yeah, no, it looks good. I like Charles LeBlanc. He's a guy. He hits. I
don't know why I didn't include him in there.
He's one of the few guys that when he got called up, he hit, and it's September 29th, and he's still hitting. A little bit less now, but he's still hitting. So maybe he's someone. How would you feel about Brian Anderson, Joey Wendell, Jordan Groshans, Charles LeBlanc in field next year?
Oh, Lord. I wouldn't be too proud of having BA in there. I think I see him more as an outfielder now after what we've seen lately. This guy has a cannon of an arm, and we saw it last night against the Mets. I think it was an extra innings where BA just threw an absolute cannon, did not allow Lindor to tag there. So LeBlanc has been good. He's kind of under that Dan Uggla situation where they're both the same age. They're both Rule 5, and they've both had a lot of success. Not saying LeBlanc will be Dan Uggla, but the situation is very similar. And me, who did not watch Dan Uggla that much play, I'm somehow saying that one. But From your list, I think I would just move up Ian Lewis, to be honest with you, and I would add Paul McIntosh in there. I think you could. I think you could remove Nardi.
Remove Nardi.
Yeah, honestly, and you put PMAC around the lower areas there because we've seen what Nardi's done at the big league level. It's not been pretty. And Devers, yeah, I don't mind keeping him in there.
It definitely has been concerning. And Lewis, he struggled this year. He's still so young. And I think once he stops switch hitting is when he'll really take off. But, I think he struggled a little bit in Jupiter. So we'll see. I like where I have him right now.
Yeah. And where do you see him hitting lefty or righty mainly?
I forgot. I think he hits lefty fantastic. Eli can come in and tell us. I think, he hit one. I think lefty hit like 295 or 305, and righty was hitting below 120 or something. So he's definitely should stop switch hitting. Sort of the reverse Ozzy Albies splits.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Lewis's stats because I know he was injured at the start of the season and he came in and he was just on a tear. But
I can
he is
tell
right
you.
now.
I can tell
He's
you.
hitting 265, 347, 368, 715 OPS, 2 homers, 21 RBIs. So it's solid. His OPS is good, meaning he's bringing a good contribution. But Eli, if there's any way we could put up the page before this just so we could take another look and see what other changes we can make to these lists for the next time around. If you're there. There we go. Yep.
Versus.
What are your thoughts on Victor Mesa?
As a right-handed batter, Ian Lewis hit 130. As a left-handed batter, he hit 309. So just become a lefty hitter. Victor Mesa Jr., another down year. Not a lot of impact in the baseball, unfortunately. He'll go to the AFL this year and go up against some tough competition. Still extremely young, still very talented. I don't have high hopes.
You don't? I mean, there we go. Perfect. This is amazing. Thank you, Eli. So, I mean, we could talk a little bit about the guys that are going to go to the AFL. As you mentioned, José Salas is one. I think it'll be highlighted by José Salas and Joe Mack. And then you have, you just mentioned him, Victor Mesa, and then some other guys in there, which I don't know if we have the list of those guys somehow, but
yeah, no, that's okay. I think we can stick with these. And José Salas,
those are the main highlighted guys, yeah. So
yes, Salas really sort of saved his season a little bit, playing pretty well at Beloit. Still didn't impact the ball as much as I would have liked, but he got on base a decent amount, so I think that's important. He's another switch hitter as well. He'll be a third baseman. I'm very intrigued to see what he does in the AFL. I hope he plays well. Him and Victor Mesa Jr. and I guess Joe Mack really highlight the group. But yeah, I think José Salas can be special. I think his ceiling has been sort of compromised a little bit. I don't see him being that superstar that I may have thought he could be going into this season. But I still think he can be a very good big league regular.
Yeah, and with Joe Mack, just keep in mind he's been injured most of the season, but he is I think DJ Svalik mentioned this first. He's an offensive first catcher, so his defenses may not be the greatest, and it's kind of like a lot of these catchers in the big leagues. And in the minor league system. But keep in mind, AFL pitching is not the greatest, and also keep in mind that the ballparks. I'm pretty sure the ball flies there, so. Look what JJ Bleday did. He got an AFL MVP. He was the AFL All-Star, and look what he's doing now. So, I don't know. Do you want to talk about JJ Bleday? I know you've had your strong feelings about Bleday, and he's someone that made both of our lists at the time. And with the graduation of him very recently, no longer a prospect or considered one, he was off our list. So, where did you originally have him, and what have been your thoughts on him?
So we could end it after this. I had Bleday at 7. I had Yuri, Meyer, Salas, Eater, Barry, Watson, and then Bleday. I originally had him at 5th. And after, over the last couple of weeks, he has struggled mightily. I don't like the player at all. I haven't been quiet about that. I don't think he has any future as being a big league regular playing every single day. I think the arm is good in the outfield. He's not a center fielder, poor guy. He's been tasked with playing at a very big Lone Depot Park center field, which hasn't been easy on him. But at the same time, he is just so, content with drawing a walk rather than, making damage. And it's been tough. It's been tough to watch. But, hopefully maybe an off season with some hitting coaches will help him out next year. But I wouldn't put too much stock in JJ Bleday as a starting outfielder for the Marlins.
Yeah, I'm kind of on Isaac's end here, where You can't blame the guy for being put in a position where he is in center field, and I'm surprised you really haven't moved him permanently from there because you've seen the mistakes he's made. I guess it's just another situation of letting the player work through his mistakes, I guess, but it's not working this time. And yes, he started off pretty well at center field. I'll give him that. Just it's kind of like Jesus Sanchez, where he started off, it was impressive, and the his where he takes at bats is very good as well. I mean, that's something that's impressed me. But the guy can't hit. I mean, I said this once, and I'll say it again. In my opinion, he's like a Jorge Soler. This guy, all he does is hit homers, and he can't hit for contact, and he walks and he strikes out at a very high rate. It's pretty similar in my eyes, but we'll see.
When I put in this group chat, I think it was a year and a half ago, and I said that Brian Miller has a higher floor than JJ Bleday. Mr. Eli made fun of me. Mr. Alex Carver made fun of me. Everyone made fun of me. And Brian Miller is a career 333 hitter in the major leagues.
He should be a big leaguer. I'll say that. He
can play center field, and that's the one thing I wanted to mention on this show. It's really a shame that he wasn't able to get at least one opportunity with the Marlins. I don't know whether he'll be with the organization next year, but he really deserved and he earned a shot to have another big league opportunity this year.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks because he did get an opportunity, but not fair at all. It was that one series against the Yankees last year. Yeah, 3 at-bats, not fair at all. This guy is definitely one of those players who deserves a shot to be up here over a couple other guys. I think he should be up here over a Peyton Burdick, which at the time of this recording, we do expect roster moves to be made with Avi Garcia coming back, maybe Joey Wendell coming back, and maybe Tommy Nance, I assume. So we'll maybe see some guys going down that shock us. But yeah, no, Brian Miller definitely should be a big leaguer right now. And it really does suck to see that. And I think the final thing we could mention before he ended up is that Jesus Sanchez was the minor league player of the month. So I guess they still consider him a minor. Well, he's a minor leaguer right now, but any hopes for you with Jesus Sanchez or no?
Yeah, very talented player. Very talented player with elite speed. With elite bat speed and with elite power. So I always hold out hope with him. I think if he just played right field every single day, he'd be great in the outfield. But, he has to be smart. He has to adjust to the major league pitching, and he'll be okay. But I don't hold insanely high hopes, but definitely higher hopes than some of the other guys that Miami has called up.
391, 4 homers, 16 RBIs, and an amazing OPS. Hopefully he could do some of that when he comes back up.
Fish Stripes Unfiltered, episode number 28. My name is Isaac Azout, and today Ely Sussman and I are joined by one of the very best prospects in the Marlins organization, one of the youngest players in the Arizona Fall League, José Salas. Thank you so much for the time, Jose. How are you doing?
All good, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. And I just guess this first question can be, how do you feel your season went? Jupiter and Beloit.
Felt like I had a great season. One can always do more. Just happy with the Marlins and everybody has done with me. Now just how it is, just grinding through the season. Season's a long season, so Jupiter was pretty good. Felt good in Jupiter. I had a good time while I was there, and then getting the call up was pretty exciting for me too. Getting to go play in Beloit, getting that higher competition. But yeah, no, so far good year.
Jose, is there any particular game or moment that sticks with you? I remember the 5-hit game that you had in Beloit. I saw a good amount of highlights from you, both hitting and on defense. Is there anything that sticks with you that you're really proud of and keep replaying in your mind as an example of this is who José Salas looks like when he's at 100%?
Yeah, probably the 5-8 game that you said was pretty exciting. Never done nothing like that before, but probably for me, the last series I had with Jupiter in Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I really just went to another level that last series before they called me up. Wasn't expecting the call up, but just like that last series in Daytona was just, for me, I was on another level. Hitting wise, defensive wise, I felt pretty good. I felt like I was ready, but yeah, probably for me the 5-hit and my last series in with Jupiter in Daytona.
Jose, the last time you and I spoke, it was actually at the development camp at Lone Depot Park, I think November of last year. Just how do you feel that you've improved as a ball player since the last time we spoke last year?
Yeah, I feel like I've grown. You know, the time being here with the team, it wears on you, and for the good. But you know, like how people just say experience is everything, and it's true, man. Like just being here with the guys, it really just gets the best of you. I feel like I've matured a little bit more. I've gotten older since we've last talked. But yeah, I just feel like I know what I'm a little bit doing now, per se, a couple years before, which was just playing. I feel like I know how to move around. I know what I can do and what I'm capable of not doing. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, one thing that sticks out that you're as good at anybody is stealing bases and doing it efficiently. You got caught one time like 5 months ago, and then you were perfect the rest of the way. How do you do it? What's the secret? Because there are other guys that steal a lot of bases in the minors. We've played with them, but I mean, to be as perfect as can be for most of the season with that, what puts it in your mind about when is the right time to steal a base? Because you seem to be making the right decisions like every single time, stealing 33 out of 34 this year.
Yeah, honestly, just being aggressive. Like for me, it's just being aggressive, knowing when to steal, when not to steal. For me, it's pretty much like counts. What's the pitcher doing? Watching him while I'm on deck, watching him when I'm in the dugout, just keeping an eye on him and see what he does, that I can get a little ahead of him. Or just the aggressiveness, like I said, just the aggressiveness on the bases. Over here with the Marlins, they've taught us that. And I love running. I just love to get in position where I can score and help the team out and put runs on the board. So if that means steal every bag I see, then so be it.
Over the 2022 season, Jose, I was just curious, both Jupiter and Beloit, who was the toughest pitcher that you've had to face, in both levels? So I was just curious to see who you really thought when you faced him, were like, wow, he's going to be a stud in the big leagues.
I don't really keep track on the pitches. But I'll probably say when I got called up, that series that we faced in South Bend at home, their pitching is pretty dominant. I don't really know their pitchers like that, but their whole bullpen is pretty nice. They got starters throwing 100. It's guys throwing 92 sliders. It's pretty up there. But I would have to say when they called me up, my first series in Beloit against the Cubs.
Yeah, I guess that sort of answers my next question, was that when you do get called up from low A to high A, do you feel the total upgrade in talent that you're going up against?
For sure. Yeah, pitching wise, there is a difference. Pitchers know what they're doing. They know how to pitch to you, what they're gonna do to you. I feel like they have a plan, just like we have a plan when we go up to the plate. That's the only thing that I saw differently than that I saw in Jupiter. Jupiter, the lower levels, they're just going through the motions. I feel like the pitchers were more fastball pitchers, just get it in there. Once I got called up, it was more like, I'm coming after you. So that's the adjust that I had to. That's the thing that I had to adjust to when I did get called up. Like I need to get it. So that was pretty much it. Yeah, South Bend, like I said, they have really good pitching, and when I did get called up, for me it was the pitching that stood out.
Right. Well, after you got called up, Jose, you were teammates with Victor Mesa Jr. He's out there in Arizona with you, and you got to play with him almost every single day. What's your scouting report on him? What did you get to learn about him on and off the field when you were with him the second half of the season?
Great person. It's like another brother of mine. Mesa, on the field, off the field, great person. Spectacular center field. His defense is for me one of the best. At the plate, same thing. Just like his brother. His brother's defense is elite. Same thing with him. His bat is elite up there too. And just all around, just a great player and great person to be around too. At the same time, just blessed to play with people like that. Just that are all around just good people.
Yeah, he's got a great nickname for himself, the Chosen One. Do you have something like that for yourself, or do you think that's a little too cocky that he goes that far with it?
Me, it's just Sally. I go by Sally over here with the Marlins. But Mesa, the Chosen One, he's always had that on him. But no, I think it fits him good. It fits him. It fits Mesa. So that's for me. It's whatever. But
All right. And I guess the last question I have for you, or maybe Eli has another one, is that have the Solar Sox told you about how much playing time you're going to get and where they might play you on the field over the AFL?
No, we haven't discussed any of that yet. Today was our first day of practice, so it's pretty good. But along with as playing time and stuff like that, haven't heard anything but.
Yeah, for people that don't know, on the same team with you, we got players from the Cubs, I think the Yankees, the Oakland A's, the Rays. So you probably know some of those guys already. Is there anybody there that you're excited to play for that you've already gotten to know a little bit that you think is going to help the team win a title? Because you guys are trying to repeat. All the Marlins players that went out there last year, they won a title in the fall league. So do you think you have enough talent over there to get it done again this fall?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're coming out here to get that ring. We coming out here to win, give it our all, play as a team, get better, learn from each other. And that's what I love about these guys. We've seen some of these guys before. But yeah, we just gotta lock it in.
Awesome.
Let's go ahead, Eli.
No, to you, Isaac.
Yeah, we were talking about your defenses. Obviously, you can play second, third, short. Is there a position where you feel the most comfortable in? Obviously, you're capable of all three, but which one is home to you?
For me, it's always going to be shortstop. For me, shortstop's always going to be home. But like I said before, I can play anywhere. Like wherever you need me, wherever you think that we're gonna win, whatever you think the chances are that we can be a winning team, I'll play. I will put me in center field. I know I played center field over there in Venezuela for winter ball.
Right.
So it's different for me. But like I said, I'll play anywhere, second, short, third. I'll give it my all. But for me, it'll always be shortstop. Home's at short.
Yeah, and being invited to the AFL is a pretty prestigious honor. Do you have a goal set in mind for the 2023 season?
Yeah, come back stronger, come back more mature, come back with all the stuff I'm learning now. Just keep on taking it into the off season, because the off season isn't really an off season.
Right.
It's more grinding. For me, probably the off season, I work harder during the off season than I do during the regular season. And I know a lot of guys are like that, but not just grind this off season, get bigger, get stronger like every other year. And yeah, just get ready for 2023.
Awesome. Eli, unless you have anything else, I think
let's close it out there with José Salas. Appreciate your time. Minor league season over, Marlins major league season about to end. So it's going to be all eyes on you, man. We're going to be covering you closely, following the day to day, see how you're doing out there, and you and the 6 other Marlins players out in the desert. So best of luck to you. Such a bright future ahead, man. Only 19 years old. And we think you're going to do great in the fall league. So thanks again.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We may have a guest on next time. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We aren't sure. I think this is the last show of the season. So thank you for riding along, and we're excited for the off season. We'll definitely have some stuff up our minds. We definitely want to do that draft we did last season where I took Joe Mack in the 3rd round. So I'll definitely not be doing that again this time around. So we'll see you guys on the next one. From Isaac, myself, Eli, in the production scene. We'll see you guys all in 2 weeks. Peace out and go fish.